Hi, dear followers of Australia Alidu. Hope you're all doing well and you're having a great week. So, like every Wednesday, we are back with another immigration hour with our favorite immigration agent, 𝗨𝗏𝗰𝗲 from Global Vision Migration. So, without any further ado, let's welcome 𝗨𝗏. And before that, you all know that this is going to be a 45-minute session. So please make sure to ask any questions that you have about immigration through commenting below, and then 𝗨𝗏 will be more than happy to answer your questions. Yeah, so let's just welcome 𝗨𝗏. Hi, 𝗨𝗏. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Ashu, for the warm welcome. I'm doing I'm doing amazing, perfectly fine, and really excited to be back with our Australia Ludo team, so that we can discuss various issues. We provide new updates to all our viewers, all our followers, and all our people who like to watch, and they want to wait for our session, and they want to get up-to-date information. Just want to let everyone know any information provided is actually for education purpose only, and you should, in regards to your own scenario, make sure you do seek professional advice. And then, so if you have any doubts or any questions, we will try our best to answer in a generic way, though we won't be able to provide any technical or any personal advice in regards to your situation, but I would answer it in a generic way, like how would an individual can cater to those kind of situations.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, 𝗨𝗏, for that. Guys, as you all know, this is again a 45-minute session only, so be quick and comment down below with your questions, and then we will be more than happy to answer those questions. And so before we get into the session, 𝗨𝗏, as you know, Australia Alidu's page is, we have a proportion of students from all over, and then we have major amount of students who are aiming to come to Australia, and they are still following us from overseas, right? So for such students, I just want you to give advice of how they can start their process, or what like how and where's and what, basically, of the entire process to come abroad, that is to Australia as a student. Could you please shed some light on it? Yeah.
Sure. So there's a lot of people do wants to know exactly what's the process of coming to Australia on a student visa. Yeah. Maybe they want to know it for their cousins or their younger brothers, sisters who are already finishing up their high school, or they're finishing up their bachelor's degree and want to come here to study master's or postgraduate studies. So what I'll do is I will break down the process for everyone, so you guys would have a little bit of idea how does the process works. So say, for example, if someone wants to come to Australia to study on a student visa, and what they have to do is, the first of all, most important thing is they would need to sit an English test. They would need to, before even they start start applying for universities or institutions, first thing they should do is sit in an English test, either it's PT or IELTS, and try to get to the maximum possible score. And if you manage to get 6 each or 5.5 overall, based on your score, then we will look into which university would like to offer you that course that you want to study. So say, for example, someone who's finished their studies in 2019, 2020, or 2021, and they don't have much a gap, then those students might be able to get into a big universities. However, as you all know, India is an assessment level 3 country. So what does it mean for a lot of people is that if you choose to go into a university which is assessment level 1, then you don't actually have to show finance or English language to the immigration. However, university will request you to provide those finance and English language as well. However, in all those cases from overseas, it is 100% advisable to please provide finance and English language as well. So that's what we always recommend. It not only makes your case stronger, but it also helps immigration in determining the fact that you are actually a genuine student and you do have access to finance if need be, and your English language score could actually help show to the case officer that yes, this person has actually got a good score and it has the capacity to actually study in Australia. Though it's not a requirement, but case officers do have discretion, even though if you go to a level 1 university as well, that they can ask for finance and English language as well. So now the first step, as I said, is to take an English test. Once someone does the English test, and then they get 6 each, and then based on if they get the maximum English score, there is a high possibility of them getting a scholarship as well. So that is another thing that people should look into that as well. They can certainly get that skill assessment. They can certainly get the scholarships from university based on the fact that they have the highest English score. And if some students, they manage to do really well in their year 12 or in their bachelor's as well, they got high distinctions, etc., they certainly can also be able to get scholarships based on their good scorecard or good scores that they received during their year 12 or even during their bachelor studies. And so once they get the score, once we have their qualification, then we get a letter of offer, an offer letter from the university or from the college. And then once the student receives, first they usually receive a conditional offer, then the university or an institute would put some conditions on it, that we will give you the full offer based on the fact that you must meet these conditions. Conditions could be they need to show finance, maybe their English score is low, or maybe they need to satisfy the GT requirement. I will talk about the GT requirement in a moment. So once you get the conditional offer into a full offer, you meet those conditions, then you get a full offer, you pay your university fees, the initial payment. You can pay for 2 subjects, depending upon which university you are applying. Some would ask you to pay the full semester fees as well. Once you pay for that, you get a COE, and based on your COE, you would get your health insurance. So a lot of people also ask, how do we know how much health insurance do I need? This is a very good question. People should know this stuff as well, because it's your health insurance. You should know how much duration you should get. So for students, who finish their studies, and then some people also don't know, like, okay, how much visa am I going to get if my study is finishing in? So your visa is also, what determines your visa length is your COE as well as your health insurance. So say, for example, for students, if your studies is finishing on 15th of July, 2022, then you should always get 2 extra months of health insurance up till 15th of September 2022. And in that regard, you will get visa up till that point. For students, whose studies finishing in November, they need to get health insurance up till 15th of March next year, 2023. And in that regard, they certainly be able to get visa up till that point as well. So that is why a lot of people do, see that there's a lot of visas expiring on 15th of March, 2020, or maybe any year. And those people, their studies normally finish in November. So that's very important as well. So say, for example, if they do, now this is the health insurance. So once they got health insurance, they get the COE, they have their finance, and then they also, got their, their qualifications that they already have. They would, if they had any gap or anything, they would have to cover those gap period as well. Plus, now we talk about GT criteria. So that's a letter statement that the students would actually have to write. And that's actually the most important aspect of your student visa application as well. What the department wants to know is how much effort you have put in finding that particular course that you want to do in Australia. Why only in Australia? Why not in other countries, US, UK, Canada? And why also not in India? If you are from India, or why not in your home country, I would say. Now you found the course. Then you talk about why you have chosen that university or college. Why only that particular course? And then you're going to talk about your future career prospects. That, once you come back to your home country, you would have more opportunities. You could also they want to know if GT is a genuine temporary entrant. Like, what are the, that the benefits, of you coming back to Australia, back to your home country, outweighs the benefit for you to stay in Australia. So this is a very subjective criteria as well, that the case officers have quite amount of discretion on what's required of them, etc. So this is the something that people should be aware of that as well. And then now once they get the GT statement sorted, then they would actually prepare their student visa application, and once everything is good, they will get the visa grant. So that's the process of so if any of your friends, family members, etc., they are overseas, they're planning to apply for a student visa to Australia, this is the process that they actually have to go through. They would have to first sit in an English exam, try to get them to do the maximum score, then they would apply for the university, get the offer letter, then they get the COE, then they apply for the visa, and once they apply for the visa, then just a waiting game from the department.
So Saurabh, could you just name a few universities that fall under level 1 from each state?
So that's a very good question. What happened is, last week itself, there has been a lot of changes in the assessment levels as well. A lot of universities who were actually on a assessment level 1, such as Torrens University, they actually have dropped down. So we have education provider in Melbourne CBD, which is Holmes. They are actually level 1. There's a few other vet colleges who are also.
So there seems to be a network connectivity issue happening here. So guys, feel free to comment down with your questions below, and Saurabh will definitely come back and take them up. I'm so sorry, we are going through a network issue. He'll be back real quick. If you have any questions with regards to any sorts of visa in general, namely 408, 491, 190, 189, 186, 482, anything, feel free to comment down with your question and he'll be able to take it up for you. Also, you could ask if you have any other doubts regarding each statewide nominations in general, and then about student visas, about skilled visas, about visitor visa for your parents, and also about skill assessments. Feel free to comment down which university have you studied in, and then what's your visa status now, and what are you aiming for? So Shashank says, hi Ashu. Hello Shashank, how are you doing? Okay. Okay, sure, Shashank. Once Saurabh is back, he will definitely help you out with information with regards to 190 in Victoria. Yes, Prashant. Yes, Prakash, we will get to you on with regards to your student visa, why the refusal happened. I will let Saurabh answer this to you. So, guys, let's just hope for the best and do not ever lose hope. Everybody will get their required visas. Just don't lose hope. There will be one way or the other. You all know this quote, right? Where there is a will, there is always a way. So let's just hope for the best.
Hello.
You can see lovely Saurabh is back. So Saurabh, there are a few people who were commenting down below. And do you want to take those questions first?
Hello. Can you hear me all?
Yeah, hello, we can hear you.
Yes. Sorry, guys. We had a technical issues with my internet. So finally, we're back here. Certainly. So let's answer those questions.
So first question is from Rupen. So he's saying, hi, my wife degree is in biotechnology, which comes under VETASIS, and she is working as a lab assistant, which comes under AIMS. Can we get both degree and work experience assessed? That's the question.
So yes, biotechnologist is being assessed by VETASIS. And however, she's working as a lab assistant. So yeah, I know lab assistant is done through AIMS, and they usually require people to have accredited studies, or they require quite a good amount of work experience. AIMS assessment is not that straightforward as compared to what VETASIS is. However, it also comes down what VETASIS normally looks into is they also want to see exactly what the job duties are. So some people, if they do work in a big laboratory, they do work as an assistant. However, they could be working as an assistant to a biotechnologist. They could be working as an assistant biotechnologist as well. There's a lot of factors in play in European in this scenario as well. So what I would suggest you is what matters is the duties that she's doing. We can certainly look into that option as well. If you do, what I will be doing is I will be certainly putting in our details in the comment section. Feel free to send a message privately to our Facebook page, and then we can certainly see how we can assist you. I hope this answers your question and clarify some doubts there.
Thank you. Thank you for commenting today, Rupen. Next up, we have Prakash. He's asking, hello, sir. Recently, my student visa has refused due to SOP problem. Can apply for retake. Is there any chance? And can apply for my wife's student visa as dependent to me. Is it okay for us coming together?
Yes. So when it comes to student visa refusal, as I said, we were discussing about the student visa process for someone from overseas wants to come to Australia. Certainly, you can apply again as well. However, you will need to understand the reasons behind the refusal, why it was refused, and what were the reasons in your SOP statement of purpose as well, GT statement, on what grounds that the case of which are actually rejected your visa. And in you're putting a new application, even if you want to include your wife as well as a dependent, you will need to see exactly how would you meet those GT criteria. You will need to show to the department that the reasons for you to come back to your home country are way higher than the reasons for you to stay in Australia. Most important reasons could be family. Like if you do leave your partner behind, that's a very big incentive for you to come back to your home country. Obviously, later on you can you can apply for a dependent visa, etc., based on the fact that your partner is also meeting the GT criteria. So these are the factors that people need to understand when they do apply for a student visa. Obviously, GT is a very discretionary factor. People do get visas refused no matter how extensive the GT is, but they would still need to put in a very strong evidence of their genuineness of being a temporary entrant in Australia. If you certainly can achieve that, then sometimes sometimes what I've seen, Ashu, most of the times people are not sure exactly what to write in there or what evidences to provide them, and that's where they end up getting a visa refused as well. So we have seen visa grants for people with 15 years of education gap. It just comes down to the GT statement, like what evidences they can provide, how well written their statement of purpose is. So these are the few factors, that we need to be careful about when we are applying for a visa, student visa.
So Prakash, hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for commenting today. Next up, we have Shashank. He's asking, he wants to know updates regards to 190 in Victoria.
Okay, cool. So when we talk about Victoria State nomination, as you guys all know, today is 27th. Victoria is going to close in 2 days. 29th is the last date, and then it will reopen again in the next financial year. However, they have actually put in a data as well that they have received around 11,837 ROIs for as at 31st of March, and out of those they actually selected 3,194. And in the same way for 491, they received around 1,834, and then they selected like 445. So they did receive a lot of ROIs, when it comes to these target sectors, etc. And then they're going to reopen again from 1st of July. So a lot of people, if you are currently working and didn't get any chance, if you didn't get any invitation this year, I would suggest is now is the best time for you to prepare your IELTS, or sorry, your PT, get your NATI sorted as well, and then you certainly be able to get your increase your score in any possible way, and then you might be able to get your invitation. That's what you are after, because they're going to reopen on 1st of July, and that's exactly when you should be ready with all your documentation and everything, so that with the proper ROI statements, do a bit of research about what exactly you are doing in the target sector. So a lot of people, I've seen, Ashu, they don't get invitation from Victoria is because they don't mention things about themselves. What they mention about is the company. Then my company is a target sector company. They are doing advanced manufacturing. They say like, okay, that's good. Company is doing that. We already know that. Company doesn't need 190 invitation. It's you. Tell us how you are utilizing your STEM skills in those target sectors. That's exactly why a lot of people not manage to get the invitation.
So Shashank, so hope this answers your question about updates with regards to 190. Thank you so much for commenting today. Next, we have a question from Satish. He's asking, how much time will it take for 482 software engineer grant? Recent trends.
Recently, what I've seen is that 482 an employer-sponsored visas is currently taking a bit longer than usual, even though software engineer and developer programmers, analyst programmer, they are actually in the priority migration skill occupation list. So what does it mean is that if your occupation is in that list, you certainly, department is going to prioritize those occupations. However, what we have seen is it's not the case like that anymore. Department is taking a little bit longer than usual in currently putting on those 482 applications. Currently what we have seen is anywhere between 3 to 7 months is the time frame that the department is currently taking for even 482 visas or 186 visas as well. So our recommendation to people who are actually waiting on 482 visa, continue to work for their employer. As soon as you do meet the requirement for 186, you should apply for permanent visa instead of 482.
Hope that answers your question, Satish. Thank you so much for commenting today. Have a good night. So next we have a question from Glory. It's with regards to her son. She's asking, he has 485 visa and can he apply for 186? And for 186, whether IELTS is necessary. And also employee sponsor for entry level and work agreement. So
okay,
these
cool.
are her questions. Yeah.
Cool, that's fine. So what I'll do is I'll just give basic information about what the subclass 186 visa is all about. So for subclass 186, this is actually an employer-sponsored visa, employer nomination scheme. It's called 186 ENS. It has 3 different streams: direct entry, temporary residence transition stream, and a labor agreement. What we are talking about is a direct entry stream. For direct entry stream, person needs to have a visa applicant must have at least 3 years of full-time work experience in their nominated occupation at a skill level. Secondly, they would need to have at least competent English, which is either 6 each in IELTS or 50 each in PTE score. Thirdly, they would need to get a skill assessment. If you do have all these three things, and your employer is willing to sponsor, it's a very quick and easy PR pathway. Not many people are aware of that, and most of our clients have actually received a lot of 186 grants as well. In fact, even the Australia Ludo fans or Ludo followers have actually received 186 grants through us, where they were not actually aware of the fact that this could be done for them. And then they managed to get their PR sorted, including the whole family. So yes, these are 186 employer nomination scheme is a very good option. You don't actually have to be living in a regional area. You could be living in Melbourne, CBD, or anywhere. As long as your employer is there as well, you can, and your employer can be anywhere in Australia. And then you can certainly be able to get that skill assessment sorted. Sorry, the 186 sorted. So as I said, Glory, the person needs to have at least 3 years of work experience, full-time work experience at a skill level. Secondly, they will need to get competent English. Thirdly, they will need a skill assessment in their nominated occupation. So these three things are important. Obviously, they need an employer to sponsor them because it's an employer nomination scheme. It's an employer-sponsored visa. I hope this answers your question.
So Saurabh, I just wanted to ask you if they do get 186 through the employer, so do they have to work with the employer for any amount of time?
Yes, so that's a very good question. A lot of people do ask us this question as well, whether the people they would have to continue to work for their employer, how long they should work for, etc. So for this one, they would actually need to work for at least they have this they sign the contract that the position is actually available to the nominee for at least 2 years, and then a lot of people once they do get the PR, either they continue to work for their employer, because once you got your permanent residency, there is no conditions on your visa that you have to work for that employer. You are a permanent resident. However, you should also follow the fact that you did notify the department that there is a genuine position, and then the position is actually available for the 2 years. So that's the the advice that I can give to those people.
So 2 years it is. Yep. Okay. So next up we have a question from Avinash. He's asking, hi, may I know about the Canberra 491 matrix? I'm with 70 points for ICT security specialist as major.
So in the last published results, what I've seen is that they have actually invited people at 80 points. But you're currently sitting at 70 points with ICT security specialist as a assessment. Sorry, as ICT security skill assessment occupation. However, you should aim to increase your matrix score. A lot of the times, there are quite easy and quick ways to increase your matrix score as well. Such as, if you do take up a 1-year course, you stay in Canberra longer, you work for at least 20 hours per week for a year for any Canberra, employer. Secondly, what you can also do is you can also work in any other occupation, but the occupation is also in the Canberra occupation list. However, it's not your nominated occupation, but provided you do have qualification relevant to that occupation. If you do go into that role, then you can be able to claim extra 10 points. Maybe you have 70, the extra 10 points makes you get 80, and that's what Canberra is currently inviting people at. So that might help you in that regard, and then you certainly be able to get that sorted.
So good luck with it, Avinash. Hope this answered your question. Have a good night. Next, we have a question from Swati. She says, hi, I'm doing my last year of Master of Education from Monash University. I have experience of 8 years of overseas experience from India as an early childhood educator, and I'm working as an educator in Melbourne. My student visa 500 expires in December 2022, and can I apply for PR directly after my course completion, or is it mandatory to apply for TR?
Okay, so when people do study Masters of Education, Master of Education is not the accredited qualification by AITSL to get the skill assessment done as a early childhood teacher. However, if someone has a overseas qualification as an early childhood teacher, they can certainly use that to get assessment done. However, they should meet the criteria of AITSL assessment. Master education doesn't lead to assessment. People need normally study masters of teaching in pre-primary, or either they do a graduate diploma of early childhood teaching. So those are the things, and they would also need to meet the English language criteria, which is quite tough for AITSL. They have two options. Number one, you would need to get either IELTS 8778 in IELTS academic only, or you need to show that you have 4 years of bachelor level above qualification in Australia, UK, Canada, or any English-speaking countries. So there you go, Swati. Based on this situation, you will need to see whether you do meet those requirements. If you don't, then obviously you will need to go apply for temporary residency, then do another course to be able to get a skill assessment done. I hope this answers your question. And if you do have any doubts and stuff, feel free to send us a text message or give us a call on the number below. We can see how we can assist you.
Thanks so much for commenting to us, Swati. Have a good night. Next, we have Mahir. Which is the best option for 491 in Masters of Information Systems? Is it South Australia or Canberra?
Mahir, this is a very commonly asked question about as well. Like a lot of people do ask. I'm a Master of Information System. I'm either a business analyst or a system analyst. Which state is best for me? Should I go to South Australia? Should I go to Canberra? So in this regard, I would suggest you say, for example, if you do manage to get a job in your own field, then you should go into that particular state. South Australia, you know that it asks you for your job in your field, or you would have to live in outer regional South Australia for 1 year. And then only you'll be able to claim then you can apply for 491 under the innovation stream. However, Canberra doesn't require you to be working in your own field. You can be working in any other field as well. Plus, you will need to study for 1 year in order to get to enough Canberra matrix score. Get 7 each or 8 each to get to the highest possible score. So you need to weigh your options. If you do manage to get a job in any particular state, I would suggest you go to that particular state rather than just choosing a state randomly.
Hope that makes sense, Mahir. If you have any other personal doubts, you can always call or message Saurabh's team on their Facebook page or Instagram or on the numbers below. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Next up, we have 𝗥𝗲𝗰𝗲. He's asking, hello, when can we leave the job through which I'm applying to lodge 491? After getting the invitation, or after lodging visa, or after it's granted?
So say, for example, when you are actually applying for the job, you want to leave the job, etc. After you got the invitation, etc. Obviously, it varies from state to state. That is very important as well. I don't normally just recommend people leave the job, just because they use the job to get the invitation. However, you need to also look into the employment contract that you had. So you need to be very careful about those aspects as well. So this kind of advice, I should suggest you to take, professional advice rather than, asking out in the public, because it might, can jeopardize your state nomination requirements as well. So be very careful what you, do in terms of leaving your job, leaving your state, etc. after you got a successful invitation.
Hope that makes sense, 𝗥𝗲𝗰𝗲. I suggest you to contact Saurabh through one of the numbers listed below, or ping them on the Facebook page personally to get your criteria assessed in person. Yeah, thank you so much for commenting today. Have a good night. So, Saurabh, before we wind up today's session, would you care to share some news with regards to any updates or invitations that you've received on your behalf?
Yes, that's the best segment where we always share very happy news with a lot of viewers as well. So the best news that we actually received for a couple of our clients actually in the last few days was their employment assessment via CPA. The CPA took at least 6 months to get their assessment sorted. And that was actually, they usually would take no more than 35 days. However, they took at least, almost 6 months. And then, it actually infuriated us. And then what we did is we contacted them, did the priority processing request and stuff. And then they actually then finalized it within a week. And they also assessed every single day of their work experience as successful. So that was actually so important for that client. And now we are actually preparing their 186 visa. That's a permanent visa. So there you go. As you can see, you know what I mean? Like people, they were not sure whether they can get their experience assessed as 100% successful because they didn't had, bank statements to prove. But however, we managed to get their experience sorted. And then now they're actually on their way to get their skill assessment done. So yes, now this is a very happy news for both of them. Third, the best news that we receive is actually about our client, our old client. We receive a social worker 190 visa grant for the whole family.
Wow.
And at that point, our client was actually overseas with her family. And now when she wanted to come back, she actually brought her whole family with her. That's the best way. And then they actually came to see me yesterday. And it was such a overwhelming experience, when we get to meet them. And the child, the son, he is so excited to be in Australia. Now he's already going to school. So I was, quite happy, how many lives we have changed. In this 2022, it's only been April, and we have managed to get like more than 30 to 40 permanent residencies for our clients. And then, it actually gives us such an immense pleasure, that how we managed to change so much lives in a short span. And I'm just looking forward to, getting more permanent grants for our clients, and for our viewers. Because it's not just their achievement, it's an achievement for us as well. As you can see, the all the borders that I get is my clients, when they're so happy when they get their PR, they actually gift us these bottles and stuff. Though I always keep it as a souvenir, and I get them to sign the bottle, so I remember them. They know that this is the client who actually got the PR. And I can tell you guys, on around this side, I have around like 60 to 70 bottles. That means you can see how many. And in my office as well, the client, there are some there as well. As you can see, the amount of permanent residencies and successful stories that we have actually already created for our clients. And we are in the process of fulfilling more dreams in the coming future.
So guys, 𝗨𝗱𝐹's team, Global Vision Migration, have offices both in Melbourne and Canberra. And feel free to read the reviews on Google. They have recently started their Canberra branch. And you should see how many of their clients have already posted some amazing reviews about them on Google. So feel free to read about it. And I'm sure you would get a smile on your face when you are actually reading it through, and such success stories all together. I myself was quite overwhelmed reading through those reviews. So guys, feel free to post any of your questions even prior to the sessions about any topics that you want us to discuss on Australia Aladu's Instagram page or Facebook page, and I would be happy to bring them up in the session. If you do not want to post directly about your scenario here, please feel free to give me a topic or suggest some topics that you want to hear about 𝗨𝗱𝐹 talking, and then we would definitely make that happen. So you can always contact 𝗨𝗱𝐹 himself and his team through their Facebook page, and you can log on to their website as well, www.gbm.com.au, and you can directly book for a consultation. And for our lovely followers of Australia Aladu, he has actually given us a coupon code to get 25% discount off the consultation fee. The coupon code is AUSALLADU, AUSALLUDU. You can always make use of this code and get 25% discount on the migration consultation fee. So they also have a TikTok channel, and you can follow them on their Facebook, Insta, and TikTok. So thank you so much for being a lovely audience tonight, and thank you so much for sharing such valuable info today, 𝗨𝗱𝐹. Thanks a lot.
Thank you everyone for joining, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Bye-bye.